Chapter 7, review number 20. Excuse me. Chapter 7, review number 20. Number 20, we have a line parallel to a side of a triangle signified by the arrows in the middles of the line. So that brings us to the theorem that says if a line is parallel to a side of a triangle, then it divides the other two sides proportionally. So top piece over bottom piece of this side is equal to top piece over bottom piece of this side. And so top piece 3 over bottom piece we don't know is equal to top piece 6 over bottom piece we don't know. So we're kind of left hanging on that because we didn't know either bottom piece. Well, what else do we know then? Because we can't solve for that yet. Well, we know that if those two lines are parallel, if DE is parallel to BC, then we know that alternate interior angles are equal, corresponding angles are equal, same side interior angles are supplementary. And so these two angles are equal because they're corresponding. These two angles are equal because they're corresponding. Angle A is equal to itself by reflexive. So all of the angles of one are equal to all of the angles of another. Therefore, they're similar by angle-angle similarity. If they're similar, then we could say that bottom of little 4 over bottom of big 12 is equal to left side of little 3 over left side of big, which would be AB, is equal to right side of little 6 over right side of big AC. So our theorem about a line parallel to a side of a triangle didn't work out, so we moved to something else we could figure out, which is that the triangles are similar. And so we can set up a proportion. You could reduce that 4/12 into 1/3. We could have 1/3 is equal to 3 over AB. To solve, you could cross multiply AB times 1 is AB is equal to 3 times 3, which is 9. So AB is 9. Now AB is this whole thing. If AB is 9, then that little piece would be 9 minus 3, which is 6, which you didn't ask for, but that's it. Now, if we wanted to at this point, we could set up proportion now. Little piece, top piece over bottom piece equal top piece over bottom piece and find EC. I'll just call it EC. Or we could come back over here and say scale 1/3 equals 6 over AC and get that whole side and then subtract 6 from it. I'm just going to go back over here to the sides divided proportionally. 3 times EC is 3 EC is equal to 6 times 6, which is 36. We undo multiplication by division, and we get EC is equal to 12. Any questions on number 20 and 21? Okay. We'll take a look at numbers 22. We'll white this out so it'll be out of our way. What we have here is 3 parallel lines divided by 2 transversals. We know that they're parallel because there's an arrow in the middle of this one, and this one. So there's your 3 parallel lines. And those 3 parallel lines are dividing these 2 transversals. If 3 parallel lines divide 2 transversals, then they divide the 2 transversals proportionally, meaning top piece of the one, 2 1/3 over bottom piece of that one is equal to top piece of the other one, 3 1/2 over bottom piece X. If 3 parallel lines divide 2 transversals, then they divide the 2 transversals proportionally. Now to solve, we're going to cross multiply, but I'm going to go ahead and make them improper as I go. 2 times 3 is 6 plus 1 is 7/3, and so I would have 7/3 X equal. I'm going to multiply this way, but I'm going to make them improper as I go. 4 times 4 is 16 plus 1 is 17 over 4 times. 3 times 2 is 6 plus 1 is 7 over 2. And so we get 7/3 x is equal to 7 times 17 is 119 over 4 times 2 is 8. Remember, when you multiply the numbers, numerators, and you multiply the names, denominators, and you get a new name. On page 25 of the Algebra 1 text, we said we're going to undo multiplication by division or. Remember, we said or. We're not going to just let you say undo multiplication by division. You undo multiplication by division or multiply by the reciprocal. So we're going to multiply by 3/7. And so that's going to give us x is equal to 119 times 3 is 357 over 8 times 7 is 56. So we'll get 357 divided by 56. It'll go 6 times. You're going to get 336 with 21 left over. You put your remainder 21 over your divisor 56. Now 2156 will divide. 7 goes into both of those. 7 goes into 21/3. 7 goes into 56/8. And so that simplifies to 6 3/8. And so x is 6 3/8. You need to know how to multiply and divide on paper, fractions and decimals and mixed numerals. These things are taught in the first few pages of the Algebra 1 text, and we use them all over this geometry book. I encourage you to learn how to do it on the calculator, but also know how to do these things on paper. There's times you just need it on paper. All right, question number 23. Question number 23. Whoops, wiped out a little too much there. We wanted to find xy here. I chopped off the bottom of my y. What we have is a line. Whoops, I missed there. We have a line parallel to a side of a triangle. And so ZA is parallel to XY. If a line is parallel to a side of a triangle, then it divides the other two sides proportionally. So top piece over bottom piece of this side is equal to top piece over bottom piece of this side. So 6 over 18 is equal to 5 over AY. Now, not only do we have sides divided proportionally, we also have similar triangles again by angle-angle similarity. So we can say that left side of little 6 over left side of the big triangle, which is 18 plus 6, which is 24, is equal to the right side of the little triangle 5 over the right side of the big triangle, which is that whole side BY, is equal to the bottom of the little triangle, which is 2 over the bottom of the big triangle XY. The 6/24 reduces to 1/4, so we could say 1/4 is equal to 5 over BY. We could also say 1/4 is equal to 2 over XY. So we could solve either of those three proportions. If we want to find xy, that's the first thing it asks for. We could solve this one. Xy times 1 is xy, equal 4 times 2 is 8. And so xy is equal to 8. If we put that in a picture, it would go right there. AY, this one over here's got AY. AY times 6 is 6AY, is equal to 18 times 5, which is 90. We would undo multiplication by division, and we would get y is equal to 18. We would get AY is equal to 18. So AY is 18. That's the bottom piece. 18 plus 5 is 23. So BY would be 23. Excuse me. Any questions on 23 through 25? Again, we were dealing with a line. If a line is parallel to a side of a triangle, it divides the other two sides proportionally. And we had similar triangles by angle, angle. So left over left equal right over right equal bottom over bottom. Okay. Number 26. The angles of a pentagon are in the ratio of 3 to 2 to 1 to 3 to 3. Now, this is a formula word, and if you're accustomed to my Algebra 1 text, then you know we like to put formula words on a word sentence line. You may kind of wonder why this is a formula, angles of a pentagon, but we know they have the sum of something, right? And we know that the sum of the angles of a triangle is 180. But what about a pentagon? Well, we're going to use the formula for the interior angle sum of a convex polygon. The formula for the interior angle sum of a convex polygon is the number of sides minus 2 times 180 degrees. Remember that? I'm going to have to move that, it looks like. The interior angle sum of a convex polygon is the number of sides minus 2 times 180 degrees. So we could take the number of sides of a pentagon, and we need to know that penta is 5. So we would take 5 minus 2 times 180 degrees, which would be 3 times 180 degrees, which is 540 degrees. So the angles of the pentagon add up to 540. Well, how many angles are there? Well, there's 5. So first angle plus, second angle plus, third angle plus, fourth angle plus, fifth angle equal 540 degrees. So the signs that would make 5 gaps for those 5 angles. The characters of the story then would be those angles. So the characters of the story are the angles of the pentagon, angle sub 1, angle sub 2, angle sub 3, angle sub 4, and angle sub 5. Now, if we called those A, B, C, D, E, we would have to have 5 different equations to solve a system. But there's not enough information in that little paragraph to have any more word sentences. So if we can't solve by substitution, then we have to have a special rule to name each one in terms of the same variable. There's 4 special rules. They are consecutive integers, consecutive even, consecutive odd, and things in a ratio. The special rule that we had were things in a ratio. It says they're in the ratio of 3, 2, 2, 2, 1, 2, 3, 2, 3. To assign variables to things in a ratio, you multiply each member of the ratio by x and have only one name. So we're going to call the first one 3 times x, 3x. The next one 2 times x, 2x. The next one 1 times x, which is x. 3 times x, which is 3x. And then 3 times x, which is 3x. So the sum of those angles, which are 3x, 2x, x, 3x, and 3x, is 540 degrees. Now we have an equation with only one variable. If we have an equation with only one variable, we can solve using the order of operations. And so what we would do is combine like terms. So we have 3, 6, 9, 12x is equal to 540 degrees. We're going to undo multiplication by division. So we divide by 12. And we're going to get x is equal to 45. Question was find the measure of each angle. So we're going to take what we got for x and we're going to plug it in to get each angle. So the first angle is 3 times 45 degrees, which is 135 degrees. The next one is 2 times 45 degrees, which is 90 degrees. The next one is plane OX, which is 45 degrees. And the next two are 3x again, which would have to turn out to 135 degrees again. So the angles are 135, 90, 45, 135, 90, 45, 135, and 135. Any questions on number 26? Okay. Number 27. If 16 plates cost $42.36, then how much will 42 plates cost? We have two comparisons of plates and cost. The first one we know both parts of, and so we call that the statement ratio. The second one we do not know parts of. It's a question that they're asking us. We call it the question ratio. Two ratios is a proportion. A proportion is two comparisons of the same two items. We always make the proportion say what the question says, and the question is how much money for so many plates. So the question is money in relationship to plates. So we make both ratios say what the question is, money to plates. We fill in the question first. We don't know how much money goes with 42 plates. And then we fill in the statement. The statement has $42.36 in money associated with 16 plates. We put the same item on top both times, dollars, same item on bottom both times, plates. To solve the proportion again, we cross multiply. We're going to have 42 times 42.36. We're going to go ahead and let the graphing calculator help us on this one. 42 times 42.36 is 1,779.12. See it right there? 42 times 42.36, 1779.12. It's equal to 16 times x is 16x. Now we're going to undo multiplication by division. So we're going to have 1779.12 divide 16. Pull up the calculator again. So we're going to have 1779.12 divide 16. 111.120. That would round to 111.20. And so to the nearest cent, it would be $111.20. Any questions on number 27? Okay. And number 28, if 3 1/4 feet of yarn cost 24 cents, we got feet of yarn and money. That's a statement ratio. Then how much money would 8 3/4 feet cost? That's a question ratio. So we have two comparisons of feet of yarn to money. Two comparisons of the same two items is a proportion. In a proportion, there has to be one that you know both of. We can call that the statement, the given. And then there's one you don't know both of, which would be the question. In the question, we want to know how much. We're talking about money. We go with so many feet of yarn. We're just going to call it Y for yarn. And it's measured in feet. The first one was measured in feet already. So we have dollars per feet of yarn and dollars per feet of yarn. The question is, we don't know how many dollars to 8 3/4 feet. The statement is $0.24. See the 24 cents? We have to write it as dollars, $0.24 for 3 1/4 feet. Now we could change these to decimals. A fourth is 0.25, so this is 3.25. 3/4 is 0.75, so we're going to write this as 8.75. We're just going to solve this as decimals since it's easy to convert and it wants the answer in money, which is a decimal anyway. So we're going to go 8.75 times 24. We'll let the calculator help us here just for time's sake. 8.75, do you see it there? Times 24 is 2.1. Is equal to 3.25 times x is 3.25x. And then we would undo multiplication by division. And so we're going to have 2.1 divide 3.25. 2.1 divide 3.25. Back to the calculator. 2.1, there it is. Divide 3.25. 0.646. That number's 5 or more, so we round up, so to make that a 5. So we have 0.65, which is 65 cents. Any questions on the Chapter 7 study guide?